We're in Dinard, France. How has your experience been at the festival so far?
So good. Being by the sea is just like nice. Then the weather, when I came, the weather was really nice. Also, the people are great. It's one of those like really chill, everyone is in bed by 8, but go for a walk during the day. It's really nice and chill. Yeah, I'm enjoying the festival and also just enjoying how much people love seeing films here. Just great.
Amazing. So talking about Dreamers, I have to say, because I want to triple check, I may was there an aspect
There is
ratio
an
shift?
aspect ratio
Right.
shift, yeah.
I thought I was tripping and going,
Yeah,
wait a
no,
second.
not everyone notices it because it's
Yeah.
like it just the idea was that you're not meant to really notice it because it's more about like as her world expands mentally, we too like it gets wider and wider and wider.
Because I was lucky to have a screener, so I was trying to find the point where it is,
Yeah,
and I was thinking, oh, is it?
it's
Yeah.
throughout the film. But my DOP, she actually did that all in camera. So, so she was like, okay, we went through the script and she was, okay, at this point, we should have a shift, this point, a shift, this point, a shift. Obviously, we're not shooting in order. So she had to make notes as to like where we were aspect ratio wise, just based on story. And so consistently shift it back and forth, which is a bit crazy.
I have to say, Anne and Bong are terrific in this. What was the whole casting process like?
So with Ronke, I knew her from like for years. She was in my proof of concept, and she played the same role in that. And so I always kind of knew, like, okay, that's going to be my lead. And Anne, I met on another show I did. And at the time, I was, in my mind, it made sense, but you never know until you get on set because they're both very opposite actors. By that, I just mean for the character of Isio, I wanted somebody who could give themselves like 1,000% into the role because I knew how heavy it was. What I didn't realize that Ronke is also a method actor. So during the shoot, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense now. So she basically becomes the character, which I think is amazing, but also I think actors are just insane. Um, and Anne is somebody who is more methodological. Is that the word? I can't pronounce that.
Methodical?
Methodical. Thank you. Anne is more methodical, um, and I think the character of Farah is somebody who is like she sees what's really going on, and she understands the world. And I wanted somebody who could fit that kind of like um, worldview or what in for her the character somebody who could see the world and somebody who can just take a step back and be like this is what's going on. So with that in mind, I was like this is going to work. I had no idea if it was going to work or not. I think I just got really lucky when we got on set that I was like okay, yeah, it works. I don't think we didn't do a chemistry test even though I wanted to, but I think I was just going I was going by faith if anything.
I mean, that's what I was going to ask. Was about like the chemistry is
Yeah,
unreal between them.
yeah.
So there wasn't a chemistry. Did you? Was there much rehearsal
Oh no,
time?
we there was rehearsal time. We did find it in rehearsal. So what we did was we had all the cast. We did like a read through and we sort of like talked about the characters. And then with Anna and Ronke, I did like a couple of days with them where we just spoke about their love story and we spoke about like the backstory. We spoke about what they're really thinking. We spoke about would there be a future after this? And then we had like a one day with an intimacy coordinator, which I think was great. And she came in obviously to rehearse the intimacy scenes, but it was really for me a great way for them to just find like I guess their thing, what made sense for them. And equally we did like a day with the choreographer for like the dance scene. And I think that also added to finding like that chemistry because we had a whole thing of like, what is your song? And so we kind of, in my mind, we were sort of creating the couple together. So when we went to shoot, I think we had this knowledge of um, the things they love about each other and the things they don't love about each other. Because we also had conversations about like, what is the thing that would end the relationship and what is the thing that would make you want to stay with this person. And we spoke about all of that stuff. So I think it made it a bit deep. And obviously, those are things that aren't in the script. So we kind of found that together.
Amazing. And you've got a massive track record as a producer, you've done a bunch of shorts, now we're at your first feature. What's the one thing that you brought from that experience of producing and short film directing into this production?
I think as a producer was nice was like, you understand how the set works and you know what everyone's job is. And I think sometimes with debut directors, when you come in, you don't always know. So for me, it was actually easier to come in and be like, everyone do your job, you know, because I understood what everyone's job was and I understood what their roles were. So it was easier for me to collaborate with like different people and to hear what everyone had to say. And I think just a simple thing like knowing how well to use my script supervisor, because understanding that like that person is helping me with the edit. Because there was a few days where it's a bit mental and you're losing time. And there was one scene, I think it's when she goes into the cafeteria for the first time to get food. And we were struggling so much the outside walk was taking up so much time because they kept messing it up. Because walking is the hardest thing in films, believe it or not. And then we had to like go inside and continue. And at the end, we're losing time. I remember turning to my scriptie, Lizzie, and I was like, do we have enough to just like put something together? Because we need to move on. Because I think as a first-time director, sometimes you panic because you haven't shot it the way you had planned to shoot it. But actually, she was like, you've got the story beats that you need. And so whichever way we want to do it, you can figure out in the edit, but it's all sort of there. And you move on. So I think stuff like that, you know, knowing how to use the people around me. And also like, I think Emily Morgan, who is my producer, she's great. We're similar energy, similar vibe. So she was somebody who would only literally bring a problem to me. And it was nice about being a director in this was, I know the producer huddle. You know, I could see like the line producer, the first AD in the corner, hushed whispers. And I'm just like, doesn't involve me. I'm great. There's a problem. Don't bring it to me. Right now it's their issue. I'm minding my business. You know, that was fun actually.
The one thing that kind of took me by surprise with Dreamers was I wasn't expecting it to almost be like a prison drama structure with it. Did you were there any particular influences for that?
I mean, Unprofet, Startup. For me, it's a love story in a prison. So I wanted to give it a sense of genre so that people found it accessible. Because I think with these stories, it's easy to be like, oh my God, it's just an immigration movie. But I think the surprise is you watch it, it's beautiful, the lighting is great, there's a love story. Sometimes you laugh, and then you're like, should I be laughing? But all of these things is kind of what I want the audience to sort of feel as they're watching it. Because I think the point for me is like, how do we break away from what sometimes we think these films look like or should look like, and just, you know, switch up the genre a little bit. That was my intention. And I really wanted to find a way that at the end of it, you watch it and you're entertained, but then you have questions around immigration and whatnot.
Well, that's what I was going to say as well, where the ending is so bittersweet. And how challenging was it kind of striking the balance between that kind of beautiful emotion, but being evocative and having those conversations?
It's always hard because you want to make sure. So for me, it was like I wanted the immigration part of it to really balance out with the love story, and that's a difficult part because the immigration it's so big, and I think like for me in the movie, I made a conscious decision to only tell two people's stories. That's Farah and Isio's story, and they're both done in similar ways of one shot. But that was kind of all I wanted it to be, like in terms of the people in the film. I didn't want to do a story of like, oh my God, pull them. I wanted to be a story of like, they own their story and they can share it if they want to or not share it. I mean, with Isio's one, it was more about like treating the audience like you are the judge and jury, I guess. But I think really finding that balance was something we found in the edit. On paper, you sort of try and you think, you shoot it and you try again. But I think in the edit with the editors, we've really found that sort of poetry and that balance of like more love story to really make us feel like this is the journey of the film and allowing the immigration to simmer in the background. So that was something that it took us a while to figure out in the edit.
And with it being, it's a great piece of queer cinema, something that I think we all desperately need more now more than ever, if we're just, gesturing broadly to everything, what's going on. What's like the one, well, actually, I was going to say what's the one takeaway from it, but Dreamers, there's so much going on around immigration, but also about being lesbian, around queerness as well. So what's the takeaway that you want audiences to have from this?
I think it's just humanity, really. I think, it was interesting. Somebody had asked me, like, why did I use lesbians as a way of talking about immigration? I mean, obviously, apart from the fact that it's a bit of my story, and I think ultimately it was to highlight how ridiculous the system is, because, one of the things they ask you to do if you are a queer person is you have to prove that you're gay. And how does a person prove that they're gay? It's through the story you tell, it's through how open you are. They sometimes ask you very like intense personal questions to see if you're open to talk about like your sexuality. But, you forget that some people come from countries where it's quite conservative and you barely talk about sex. So if you struggle with that, suddenly it's like, oh, you're not gay. Or if you were raped, or if you did have a husband that you were forced to marry, or whatever that thing is, the way the system works is very much, if you're not A, you're B. If maybe you've had a bit of B, then you can still be B. And I want people to sort of question the ridiculousness of the system, because, this is a character who's consistently being told, no, you're not gay. But yet we see her fall in love throughout the film. And we can see that, no, she loves this woman. Just let her be with her. But the reality is that this story is one of many that goes on, where you have to prove all these things and re-traumatize yourself over and over and over again. I don't have a fix for it, but I just know that as it is, it's broken, And I think I want people to walk away and have questions, mainly about the immigration aspect of it, and think about what can we do? What more can we do? Is there anything I can do? But I think even in just having those conversations is doing a lot, because I think we don't talk about immigration in this way. And we don't interrogate what's really happening. And I always say to people, like, nobody checks themselves into an asylum hotel. You come here and you're put in there. It's the policies of the government. And I think once you begin to see things from that point of view, then it'll be a little bit easier.